Thing is, Prigozhin does actually have still access with a Telegram, and somebody that he has access to a social networking platform with lots of followers is actively hostile to the Russian state and to President Putin as well. So it remains to be seen what will happen in that regard. Hello, I'm Dr. Joseph Demergis. I'm the Research and Analysis Director at Strategy International.
There's been lots of different instances when Telegram has sort of found itself at the center of a controversy because it has that lack of censorship. So do you think that that has played into its role as being a really effective tool at communicating at a mass scale?
Definitely. I suppose we see this kind of dichotomy in the Western sphere of influence as well, because nowadays, well, you had the Twitter run by Elon Musk, and now you have Threads by Zuckerberg, and they probably will have a very different approach in how they actually deal with censorship, etc. So Telegram, well, at its beginning, was really supposed to be a platform that would first of all be anonymous to the people that use the channels, and secondly would be very easy to use. And as far as the audiences in Russia were concerned, and now Ukraine, it was something that was really more to their heart to use. So Telegram became very popular amongst Russians. I do have a small amount of statistics. It's by far the most popular internet resource among Russians aged 16 to 24. So that's a huge chunk. And about a quarter of Russian youth use Telegram exclusively. So it's their only source of information. So I think you do understand the kind of indoctrination that may take place if you actually take your news from one source only.
Prior to the Russian invasion last year, what role did Telegram play both in terms of Ukrainian Russian society? You mentioned that it's very popular among young people. Is there like a reason for that?
We should bear in mind that the Russian state, of course, has a huge foothold on the way it tries to regulate the feelings and the ideas that occur within the infosphere of the Russian nation. Putin, the old spy master, is of course very averse to actually having a medium that does not really toe the state line. So Telegram really started small, and from April 2018, I believe, to about June 2020, it was actually blocked by the Russian state government. Nevertheless, officially blocking the app and people actually using it are two different things. You know, sometimes you make something notorious, and people start thinking, "Oh, well, I might as well use that because I'm learning the truth." You know, there was actually a Telegram channel that only had news about President Putin's health. So that's the way to really learn the dirt as it is about what is going on around the Russian nation that does not come from the mouth of state-sanctioned news. Of course, the Russian state took that back and started creating its own infrastructure within the Telegram apparatus as it is, in order for it to be able to influence uh, the audience it wanted to attain. Of course, there were lots and lots, and there are lots and lots of other channels that really toe the party line as well, because you may have, a state broadcaster, and you may have a lot of people that may not be directly affiliated with, but really they create the necessary biomass, if I'm permitted that term, in order for the whole project of actually influencing people to go through.
Since the invasion, how has Telegram been adopted by both sides, and in what ways? We've seen Prigozhin use it to spread messages about the Wagner Group.
It really has skyrocketed, both in Russia and in Ukraine as well. The Ukrainian foothold in Telegram was way smaller, and with Russia invading Ukraine, suddenly it skyrocketed. And since just because there is no actual prohibition in what one puts out, suddenly you can have war footage. You can have people reporting on enemy troops positions. You can have people actually thinking that they are actively are participating in the war, while being in their on their couch. The funny thing is that, of course, the Russian state's efforts, well, they're as clumsy as one can imagine, since it's a Russian state after all. And Prigozhin's use of Telegram is quite another kettle of fish. Prigozhin, in the beginning, when he created the Wagner Group, he absolutely did not want any publicity at all. He spent lots of years actually denying any kind of involvement with the Wagner Group, and it was only at the September of 2000, 2022 that he actually came up and in a video that was in many social media and amongst of them Telegram, and said that the time of revelation has come, and the Wagner Group is now a pillar of our motherland, a pillar of our Rodina, as is the name for the Russian motherland, which really encompasses the Russian soul, the Russian national soul as well. So he was the upstart that tried to have influence amongst the Russian population, and someone that tried to attain a position amongst the Russian political elite. So he started using it quite extensively as well. So there were lots of satellite channels where lots and lots of his videos, speeches, such things as him welcoming soldiers, going to hospitals, talking about battlefield conditions, all the things that the military commander and the political commander in waiting should do, always came up in Telegram channels. He did use and he does use Telegram to circumvent the Kremlin's state media apparatus, because it's a way of actually meeting Russians on a platform that cannot be controlled.
Yeah, we saw a few weeks ago with the Wagner revolt that he was posting several voice notes to sort of give updates as to what was going on. So how effective was that as a tool?
We can kind of answer that knowing the conclusion of the revolt. Of course, it is not his speeches that were wrong, that the revolt failed. There were military and other reasons that the revolt failed, because he actually thought that he had much more political support amongst the Russian elites than he actually had, and suddenly he understood that the game was up. Thing is, Prigozhin does actually have still access with a Telegram, and somebody that has access to a social networking platform with lots of followers is actively hostile to the Russian state and to President Putin as well. So it remains to be seen what will happen in that regard.
And so, from like a Russian state level, you mentioned earlier as well about Russian citizens who are perhaps anti-war, who are using Telegram as a platform to share information about what's going on in the outside world. From a state level, why would they be using Telegram? Is it again to sort of try and control the narrative?
Yeah, and mostly spreading disinformation. We saw that in the events in Belarus. Well, you had a popular uprising of sorts that, well, unfortunately, as in the West would say, did not actually get the necessary traction, and the state's response there was similar to the Russian one. First they did not want to have anything to do with it. Afterwards, they kind of adopted it to actually spread misinformation, because you may say one thing and imagine that the news cycle is quite small. So if I inject into the news cycle a falsehood, it will take you another news cycle to actually refute that. but it doesn't matter. I have progressed to another falsehood as well. So you kind of dilute the narrative, and you do spread what we term fear, uncertainty, and doubt, disinformation.
And what about from Ukraine? How are they using Telegram?
Ukraine's Telegram audience really has grown considerably after the war. You know, there are now Ukrainian channels that boast more than 3 million users. For example, President Zelensky has used Telegram copiously, and well, of course, whether it is in Russia or Ukraine, you do tend to get a lot of channels with very copious patriotic rhetoric and all and trying to prove and disseminate a message that is to their hearts. Especially, I presume, especially as far as Ukraine is concerned, it really is a way for the everyday Ukrainian citizen that can actually speak English, for example, to actually reach and influence Western nations, and actually get some support for the whole war effort as well. And this has proven to be the case in a lot of circumstances where war material or whatever other kind of help has been given to Ukraine by people that felt touched by what they see as really the human communication rather than the state sanctioned one, which of course, well, I suppose Western audiences are a little bit cynical.
It's an interesting paradox because on the one side, this lack of censorship on Telegram is really useful because it helps people to find out information outside of, state-controlled media. But then on the other hand, as you said, it allows for misinformation, disinformation to be spread, military intel to be leaked. Do you think that there's one side that's better than the other?
Social networking platforms are just tools that may be in vogue now, but may not be popular after their use. There is certainly correlation between somebody's age or social or cultural background in the kind of platform they will use. And we have seen that the dichotomy in the Western audience as well, where you have Instagram and you have TikTok. TikTok is of Chinese origin, and there is really a lot of information to be gleaned by the use of a social networking platform by its users. It's actual actionable intelligence at the heart of it, and so we have Western countries actually either prohibiting their officials or strongly discouraging them to actually use TikTok. But then again, TikTok it's hugely popular among young ages. So if you don't use TikTok, you, you're condemned. But if you do use it, you're condemned as well. So it's either state sanction or not actually being able to talk with your audience, your own country. And of course, we're talking about political leaders and that are accountable, and they actually have to go through real elections to be re-elected.